Hello everybody, this is Alex from Digital Dreamlands, and this week I thought I would take you over my history in indie game development. So I've always wanted to make games since I was playing games when I was like 3 or 4. And I remember I was at a wedding and they said somebody here is a game developer, and if you really want to do that, you should go meet him. I would have been about 5 or 6. And he said, yeah, he'd love to talk to me. And so we talked for a little bit. I was a kid. I don't remember what we talked about. But I gave him my email, and I didn't even have an email. So I had to rush home and make an email. And he sent me a list of this is how you get started learning how to do this stuff. And so I started on his recommendation with Game Maker Studio. And actually, it wasn't even Game Maker Studio back then. It was Game Maker 6 or 7, I think. Old stuff. So I started learning how to code thanks to old school YouTube tutorials and just good old learning and forum posts. And I made my first game, Mega Super Ultimate Man. And wow, I really didn't know what I was doing, did I? They keep talking about how they're gonna get turned flat because apparently they're 3D. That's what 3D is. And apparently I even made a Mega Super Ultimate Man 2. I don't remember doing that at all. But then, as time went on, I kept getting better at programming, and I took my first shot at an original concept. It all fell. So the original story was that the people lived on floating islands, and they all fell. That's at least what I said. But God, look at how dramatic I am in this story here. The mountains crumble, the seas rage, the crops die, the continent is falling. The princess is on top of the mountain. You must go save her before it's too late. But it's a pretty simple puzzle game where you have a menu at the top of blocks you can place in front of you that make the character do actions. For instance, you can click on the jump block and place it in front of the player, and then press play, and the player will auto move across the screen. And when he hits the block, he jumps. And that was a pretty interesting concept for a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old to come up with. I don't exactly remember when I did this one. But after all of that, I wanted to make a big game. I started making a sequel to It All Fell. And I stand by, I came up with this first. It's called It All Fell Gravity Rush. And I came up with the name first. I did not steal that from Sony. But it was the same concept as It All Fell. But we played with gravity a little bit and we had way better graphics. Unfortunately, this is the only one of the list of games that I'm talking about that I do not still have files for. I really wish I did, because it was a lot of fun. But I do have a video of me playing. Then I took a break from game development for a little while. I don't know, I just got burned out or whatever. I didn't do it from when I was 12 to when I was about 22. Then I got really back into it. So then when I got into game creation again, I had always wanted to start a team with my friends. And we were going to call it Silver Key Games. That was a name we had had since at least 2010. But since then, my friends have moved on with their life. They have their own things going on, and it didn't feel right to do Silver Key without them. So I started trying to make my own team. And I worked on a game called Project Light for a little while. And it was pretty cool, but I really felt limited with the Game Maker Studio engine, because that was all I'd ever used up to that point, other than learning a little code here and there for other things. So I decided to switch to Unity. And by this point, I had had a kid, and I wanted to make a game that could be easy for kids to play, but fun for people with a lot of skill, and interesting for kids. And what's funnier than a ragdolling baby? And what do kids relate more to than babies? 'Cause they're babies. And so now I'm working on Rockabye, which you can watch weekly devlogs here. Thanks for watching. I thought I'd give you guys a fun little tour through my history programming. See you guys next week. Have a good night.